Welcome to your worst nightmare. There is no escape. There is nowhere to hide. You are in my control now. Welcome to hell, motherfuckers.
Welcome everybody, I'm your host Walterdoom, back for another episode of Let's Talk About Horror, the horror podcast where I talk about any and everything related to the genre. And I am back, and I know you all missed me, and this week we are bringing the world of Doom in today's episode as we are going to talk about bad hair. And yeah, I know I talked about bad hair before with Jeremy in last month's episode, but in this month's episode we are going to talk about representation with the girl Meaganzworld. So right now we will not have a segment of the cut this week for time purposes. I don't want to hold you guys all day, but we are going to go ahead and jump into that interview segment. So yeah, like you shouldn't say in a scary movie, I'll be right back. And we are back, everybody. And right now, we are going to jump into the segment and talk about bad hair right now and basically the concept of hair. And I brought on my special guest, one half of World of Doom and 1/3 of the Black Avengers. So let's give it up for Meaganzworld, everybody.
Hey, thank you for having me again.
Yep, I know. I mean, we both watched this movie and I was just very, very intrigued on trying to have you on here because, of course, you are one person that I know that is a hair, not really a connoisseur, but enthusiast. I mean, I'm trying to figure the words to say.
That works, hair enthusiast. Yeah, I mean, in a way, I guess connoisseur, because I love like hair extensions and wigs and stuff, so it's fun.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anybody else that I could get on here to talk about this kind of stuff. Because, I mean, they have to be one into hair and two into horror also.
There you go.
And since I already knew, how you are very much a wig head. I mean, for those that don't really know, which they should if they follow you on social media, it's no secret.
That part. No, I changed my wig like I changed my clothes, especially on social media. And also just being, a Black woman and have our stories being told in like a creative way, especially within the horror genre. It's very creative and really interesting. So yeah, I'm happy that I'm on here.
So first things first, what are your thoughts about bad hair? What do you think that they did right with the film? What did you think that they did wrong with it?
Honestly, with bad hair, I thought that was a very interesting concept. I love that it was like, it's a horror comedy, but there also is a lot of horrific parts that happen, a lot of disturbing things that happen in it. And I just thought with the concept and everything, it is, the idea of hair and what Black women go through in regards to the hair, it can be very nightmarish. And oftentimes it is, especially if you are like from my generation and older that have had that pressure of having straight hair most of their lives. So I definitely related to it. I definitely connected with it. And I'm just really thankful now that the younger generation doesn't have to deal with that pressure. But I thought everything was executed very well. As far as the details in the film, I thought I liked how they connected it back to white supremacy and slavery and things like that, because that's where these ideals came from and originated from. So yeah. I'm glad that the overall thing came from that.
Yeah, I do like that too. I noticed that when they showed like the truck that was owned by James Vanderbeek's character, they did show the fact that it did trace right back to slavery. I mean, if you notice, like the company was like around since like 1866.
Mm-hmm.
And if any of you that know anything about slavery and when it ended, I mean, it ended in like 1865. So it's like right there in that Reconstruction period. It's basically the company that was kind of like harvesting this moss tree who was killing like all these black people, segregation, what have you, and probably just using their bodies for whatever, which I still don't get. Like the tree is kind of confusing to me almost. And I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that the film did wrong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are about the tree itself.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so yeah, about the tree too, I definitely agree with you on that. I wish that we, as an audience, learned more about it. I don't know if they're setting up for a sequel, but I
Mhm.
wish that single-handedly we learned more about the moss tree, the origins of it, whether it be from the storybook or eventually being revealed what this moss tree is, and the inner workings of it. I felt like that was kind of a plot hole.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know for the last episode that I did with Jeremy, he said it was very good that they kind of kept that information ominous because it's a little bit scarier to know like what this tree is
That's
versus
true. That
versus like knowing every bit of detail within it. But for me, honestly, I don't know, I felt almost lost to like, okay, well, why does James Vanderbeek own this tree? Like, and what's I mean, I get it, like it came from slavery, it's been in his family for many years, but at the same time, I'm still just like wondering, like, okay, what is the connection? Like, what, like, how did we get to this point, basically?
exactly, yeah. But yeah, I kind of agree with Jeremy after you said that about how the mystery makes it even more interesting too. So I don't know. I feel like there just needs to be a little bit of a balance too, and more like, okay, this connects with this, but just a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah, yeah. As we know, like this movie is just mainly the focus about like a good hair gone bad scenario, kind of Cronenberg kind of way. And we kind of know that it's a bit of an analogy or what's the word I'm looking for? An allegory about black people and their obsession of having good hair.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the setting is like in 89, which I feel like in part of the 90s, people were embracing more of like the natural look,
Mm-hmm.
but it started to stop becoming a little bit popular maybe in the mid 90s, but I don't know. Um, for you, do you think there was an accession of having good hair in the black community versus wearing your natural hair that this movie was
Definitely.
displaying?
Definitely. No, I think and I'm glad that it did take place in the late 80s,
Mhm.
because there is definitely a lot of back and forth, both personally, but this film talks about it in professional light too, because she's working in media, she wants to become a producer, all this other stuff. She's going to interview after interview, and they're making they're telling her to straighten her hair, which is why she gets this weave. And like, again, like weaves were just like so on the rage too, and I feel like at least my time too, like it made a comeback again in the early 2000s, and like
Mhm.
that's when the early to 2000s, the early 2010s, and that's when I got my first weave. So that's kind of like, it was all that stuff, because it's like, one, say like, oh yeah, it's convenient, oh it looks good, you don't have to do this, that, or the other with it, like all that
Yeah,
different
yeah.
stuff. So but yeah,
So
to kind of
did they sew it into your scalp like in the movie?
no, they did not. So that's, yeah, just to clarify, yeah, no, like that was something that the film made dramatic, which I
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
really
yeah.
like. But those that have not do not know the process of weaves, they're gonna be like, wait, what is this really a thing? No, it's not a thing. They don't sew it into your scalp. They just only sew it in the braids, you know. And then
I actually wondered that. I actually wondered that. I had to ask you, like, did they really do that? Like, I don't know if you remember. Yeah,
exactly.
I sat there and was like, yo, so do they really like do that? Like, do they just go in and just sew it in your head like that? Like, that looks painful.
Uh-huh. And I really liked it in the sense from someone that understands weaves and have gotten one, or actually gotten two in my life, but just like how it, because honestly about like, okay, something's not right. But honestly, sometimes when you get a tight weave, it feels like they're sewing it into your scalp, which you know they're not, but it's just so tight because the braids are so tight and they're sewing it tight and all this stuff because they don't want that shit to get loose. So it's just like, so it's just kind of like that. But yeah, for those who just do not understand, that would have been like a bit like, what is that really a thing? But no, but I liked it too with that little detail. But yeah, to get back to your question, yeah, I feel like that was always a sense. And at a time, Black women were ashamed of their natural hair, more so of just like, one, not knowing how to take care of it because of lack of resources, probably just wanting that good hair because of white supremacy and, you know, what slavery generally taught us, to be ashamed of our hair. And then what being a career woman meant, because a lot of times, like, in order to have a successful career, and even still to this day, like, there are still laws that, and like still guidelines of just like they are preferring straight hair over natural hair. And there's a few states that actually outlaw it. Like, there's, I think, only 5 states or something like that. So that's
my state is one.
Yeah. And I'm not sure about my state, but yeah, there's like all this different stuff about that, because so in many states, someone could say, oh, you need to straighten your hair, or like, hey, take your braids out, all that other stuff too. Yeah. And it's a part of the Crown Act. And that's why it's so big is, and why it's so important actually, is because hair, you know, Black hair grows in a curly state. It grows big, it grows like, you know, in different ways, it's tight, it's coarse. So you're telling someone to change how their hair grows out of their head, like, for a job, that's ridiculous, you know.
That is ridiculous. It doesn't make sense, because it's like saying to somebody like, oh, don't breathe. How am I not supposed to breathe? How am I supposed to live? You know?
Exactly. Like, you can't, yeah, exactly. It's just like, no, like, don't breathe if you wanted to have a job. If you just want to have this job, just don't breathe. Like, what? Like, stuff like that. So it's just kind of like, and I even like, I'm gonna be honest too, I'm gonna spill some tea on one of the jobs I had in high school. So I remember, like, and I worked, and this was in retail. So there was this job that I worked at where they actually had examples of like, what are some hairstyles that are approved and what hairstyles are not approved. And this was in our break room, and it had pictures of different celebrities. And I remember, and some of them were regarding to white folks too, but the one that really got me was, you know, there's this picture of Alicia Keys. One, her hair was like, I would say, I think it was like in a loose curl. And then the other one, her hair was in braids. And
okay, I was about to ask,
was it?
Okay. I was about to ask, was it like Alicia Keys back in like the Songs of a Minor, Diary of Alicia Keys days?
It was like her, like, I forgot, but you know, the song, like No One, that album, it was that type, it was that era. So yeah, but it was like, but the braided style was like Diary of Alicia Keys. Yeah. It was just kind of like, so I was just kind of looking like, you know, as a black teenager, I'm like, well, I guess I can't get braids anymore because it's not approved. And I hope they probably, you know, got that rule, you know, is not overly no longer there. But at the same time, that company is going under anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
That's messed up, because Alicia Keys has some really good braids. Like, her braids were nice. I mean, that's what made her hot. Like, at least in my opinion, you know, when I was
yes,
Alicia Keys.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing too. Like she looked great. She had beautiful braid styles, and the picture that I used as an example was a beautiful braid style. So, and it was honestly, I don't think it was like full cornrows either. I think it was just like what's called a halo, which is like it's only like half of your head. So it's just like what? Like it just doesn't make any sense at all. But like I said before, women are now starting to embrace their natural hair. Natural hair products are starting to be more available. That's kind of like my tussle that I had with my hair journey, was finding the correct products for me. And I'm still kind of trying to figure that out too, because I did my big chop about almost 2 years ago. And now after doing like having my hair be like relaxed or like texturized, like a mild texturizer, which is literally just a mild relaxer. You just put it on it for a least amount of time. Yeah, and my hair being manipulated by that and straightening and all that stuff. So now my hair texture is the same as I was born with. So I'm trying to navigate my new curl pattern, but at the same time, like I still embrace it. It's just like where I live, it is so humid, so my hair frizzes up like so quickly. So it's like all my hard work goes to nothing because my hair frizzes. So I'd rather just do like wigs during the rainy season, because you know I live in Oregon and it rains all the time. It's always cold and windy and rainy. And then I'll wear like my natural hair, you know, throughout the year. But no, my natural hair was really good when I did my big chop. So, but still, it was like I had to work with like a small amount of hair than the amount of hair I have now.
I find it interesting that you mentioned about texturizers and everything, because I remember texturizer was a thing when I was a kid, like back in like 96, 97 and all that. Like everybody wanted to look like fucking everybody with the whatchamacallit Jerry curls. I forget who had it the most, like New Edition or you know, all them with like little curly wavy hair and all that. You know, with the little fresh cut to go with it too. Yeah, texturizers was such a thing. But I remember doing research and finding out how, like, you know, certain texturizers actually burn people's hair. And I found it interesting that movie actually brought that to the forefront when they were trying to that. Yeah, when they were trying to
and how she has a scar to, you know, in her adulthood because of, you know, the relaxer gone wrong. And that was one thing that I related to, because I think I probably got one chemical burn, but it wasn't public, it wasn't permanent like that. But that shit does hurt, you know, even though I got a natural texturizer. Like I would even go with my little story about how I kind of discovered it. So I have family in DC, and my aunt used to go to the salon that specialized in that. And she was just saying like, oh, Megan should get this. That's what I do with my hair, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, like my aunt and I actually have very similar hair textures, if not like the same hair texture. So I was just like, okay, you know, why not? I'll go. And then, you know, talk about all these like benefits of it. And the benefits being like, oh, you can easily straighten your hair. You have a loose curl pattern, all the stuff that I was looking forward to when I was in middle school, because I grew up in a predominantly white community. I got teased for my hair. So I was like, oh, yeah, let's do this. Yeah. I remember like, it was just like, you know, when you have that stuff close to your scalp for that long, it burns, like it itches. It's all that type of stuff.
I've gotten my hair permed like maybe a couple of times when I was in middle school, when I was young. So I know about the burns and everything.
But yeah, like it was rough, but it's kind of funny because they advertise it as something natural. It's like, oh, it's not a relaxer, it's a texturizer, it's completely different, even though she had the creamy crack in the back. Like I remember like this hairstyle too. She was like a French woman too. So I remember she was like she would be like, oh, let me go in the back, I'm, you know, gonna make this mixture together. And it's like, it was literally just like some like probably like just for me in the box, you know, just for me hair care stuff that she doesn't mix together, probably put some oils in. And Like, there probably was no rhyme or reason to that, to be completely honest.
Like, this ain't no natural shit. Like, what is this?
It probably was just kitty perm, which is literally the same as adult stuff, except the time is like different.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that we have evolved a bit, now away. I mean, some people are probably still doing the perms and everything, and that's their decisions and what have you. But I think it's more better that we actually move away from that ideology and start embracing more of like our natural hairs and everything. When I was doing research about this topic, I mean, considering I was gonna do something a little bit different, but I kind of abandoned that idea for this. Because I thought this was gonna be better, World of Doom,
Yes.
By the way, y'all, episode 2 coming soon. So it's in the works. But yeah, like hair back for like Black people in Africa, it used to be a sign of like just like status and just identity. And the bigger and curlier the hair, the more majestic you were, like warriors, they had like long flowing hair whenever they went into battle that they just tied up and just went into battle with, and because of like slavery, of course, like we mentioned before, because our hair is just a bit different, it was being demonized and just made fun of, and just like it really just demoralized the whole culture into just thinking like, well, my hair isn't that important. And, and I can't believe like, I mean, to me, I'm just like, I can't sit here and just think like, wow, we really succumb to this kind of feeling, just based on like what some people have said about like our hair and all that, people that don't really understand the hair care or the importance of our hair, And I just feel like now I just do like the fact that like states are kind of moving away from that old ideology, and they're now embracing like, well, you know what does hair got to do with someone's performance? What does hair got to do with someone's credibility of working this job?
Exactly. And again, you can't really compare it to like someone saying like, oh, well, I dyed my hair, or like, oh, I can't wear my hair dyed. Like, why doesn't it affect you? Like, just straightening your hair, but like it does, because like once, like with at least for Black people, when you straighten your hair so much, you lose your curl pattern, and it's really bad. Heat damage is bad no matter what type of hair texture you have. So it's just like, it's the norm to have these, to damage your hair for status. That shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't be a thing at all.
Yeah, but it's so crazy because it's like Black people who have very curly, coarse hair or natural hair, or people who have like locks like I do, they're being like, they're not given opportunities for whatever reason, because we have that hair. But it's okay for somebody who dyes their hair, wears like a toupee or some kind of wig that is like socially acceptable because it looks very European or whatever. It's like, hey, let's give this guy a raise. Let's give him like all the money in the world. Like,
exactly.
It's a dumb ideology to me. I'm just like, I'm glad like people are kind of evolving and moving away from that mindset.
Exactly. Like I'm so glad too. And even like, I mean, me as a wig wearer too, it gives me a little bit more flexibility in regards to hair, because like for me, like I get bored with my hair really easily. So I mostly use my wigs as protective styles. I don't use it as like, oh, I'm trying to hide away from society. But I'm gonna be honest though, because I believe my state is not one of the states that, is outlawed to discriminate against hair. So like, when I'm going to a job interview, I got my straight wig on. Or like my loose curl. And then once I get the job, you get this. You know, that's how it is, you know, or just like
whip it just on them, just
exactly, or just switch it up on people. Like, that's the thing. I mean, I'm really glad though that I work for a company that embraces individuality, because I wear my hair every type of different ways too. So I'm really happy about that regard. But not all companies are like that, and I want to move to the direction that I wish everyone moved a direction to look at people's their qualifications rather, instead of what their hair looks like, you know.
Yeah. All right. What are your thoughts on how bad hair flipped the narrative of having good hair? Because we know, like, it flipped the narrative by so much. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I thought it was done so creatively, and it's just kind of like, I feel like, and this is kind of like going too deep to the whole narrative and the allegory of it all, because like once you get like that first weave, or you get that good the relaxer or whatever, you feel on top of the world. Everyone's complimenting your hair, all this other stuff. It was, you know, especially Black women. And then there comes to be a fact where like, oh, maybe this isn't that good, which all the none comes from, you know, the hair, you know, breaking off, like your hair falling out, or like, you know, have, you know, the heat damage, all the stuff, you know, all the repercussions of wanting to maintain the straight hair and all this other stuff. That's why a lot of Black women, especially Black women that are my age, are doing like big chops, because we're like, yo, my hair has been damaged for all these different years, like all these years, we need to start over, you know. So it's crazy, because it's like the same story over and over again. And it's just like, and now that there's so many natural hair products that we could use, we just have to figure out what's good for our curl pattern. It's just like, okay, I have no excuse to do this, or, you know, to put my hair through all this damage and stuff. So yeah, like that's why it's not like, oh yeah, this is the fashion, even though it kind of is. But I feel like, you know, every Black woman goes to this point, it's just like, okay, you know, enough is enough. And but as in the context of the movie, the hair is literally a killer.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
And I thought that was so cool. The good hair is actually the bad hair. And I really love that, because it is truly that in society too. It's a very great allegory too. It's just kind of like, oh, what are you willing to risk? And then, you know, and it's just crazy, because it's just like, and going back to society and white supremacy and all that stuff, and how it all connects together, even though for a majority of the film you think it's just her personal journey, but you realize who the villain is at the end of the movie, which is that's how it's like in society too. Everyone thinks that Black women hate their hair. Everyone thinks that because you wear a wig, or because you're wearing protective style, wear extensions, that you hate your hair. No, that's not it at all. You know, that's not it. Maybe it was in the past, like I mentioned before, but currently right now in 2021 is not like that necessarily. There are some women that do, but most of all, it's not like that. And it's like, it's not our only thing. Yeah, there's trauma based off things in the past, but the cause of it is slavery and white supremacy.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Yeah. Have you ever had a bad hair experience?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that in my previous story, but yeah, I would say kind of my bad hair experience came from when I was in middle school, and I did not know, and I mean,
none of us knew how to do our hair. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. Yeah, no one knew how to do the hair, but like for me, going to a predominantly white school, I was actually a lot of times the only Black kid in my class, you know, and there was only probably like 3 or 4 Black kids in my school in general, and I was one of them.
I mean, y'all had to be friends.
But you know what's so crazy though? Like we weren't, because we're all in different grades. You know how that is in middle school. Like, oh, I can't be, I can't be in 8th grade being in grade with a 7th or being friends with a 7th grader. Really dumb.
It's such a dumb ideology.
Really dumb ideology of kiddom. But anyway, but yeah, like it was I noticed like the girls in my school, like even the white girls, that they were like straightening their hair all the time, and going to like, what was it, J14 magazine and Tiger Beat, everyone had straight hair and stuff. That was the shit we used to read in the 2000s and early 2010s and stuff like that. But I was all about the early 2000s style. Like I was really into, like, I'm gonna be honest, like into emo and scene style. I wanted hair like that. So anyway, or just like, just feel accepted and feel beautiful, all that other stuff, or at least what I saw and what, kids around me saw as that. So I was straightening my hair so much and everything. And also around that time too, that's when I discovered extensions. And there was Sally's Beauty Supply store up the street from me, and they only had straight hair extensions and everything. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to keep on doing this. Let's do that. It's going to be fun. So I'll straighten my hair, put on the extensions, all that stuff. And I think I even wore my extensions to bed too at times.
That's a middle schooler thing to do. They think like, oh yeah, I got the nice little fit. Let me wear it to bed too. Come out looking fresh. Like, no, you're going to fuck it up, little.
But I'm telling you though, like, because I live in the Pacific Northwest and it rains all the time, and it rains so bad. Like I think I was in 7th grade at this time.
Did it rain on the extensions?
It rained on the extensions, but here's the thing. So when it rains on the extensions, it doesn't really affect it that much.
Okay.
But it did affect my natural hair.
Oh.
So here's the thing. I had my hair, from like here down, like from like the middle of my head down, pretty straight. From the top, like from the middle up, straight. Oh. So my hair was literally 2 different textures. And I tried to play it off and stuff. People knew what was going on.
Oh.
My hair.
They were like, Megan, why your hair so poofy? Like,
yes, literally, I was just mortified.
Oh man.
And there was also this other time. Okay, here's a part 2 of that story too. So bangs were like a big thing, and I think this was in 2008. So yeah, bangs.
Bangs were a big thing. I think it was because of Rihanna.
I think so too. It was Rihanna and a few other people got bangs, a few other celebrities. So I got bangs when I was visiting my family in Tennessee and everything, and I was like really hyped up and everything like that. Actually, the person that did my bangs did a great job.
Yeah.
I didn't think about the rain. My hair, like I said, my hair hates the rain and hates humidity. So this was during like Thanksgiving when this happened. So I was visiting my family for Thanksgiving, and then I remember literally the next day it was raining throughout our entire vacation. We were there for like a week, and this woman, she cut my bangs not necessarily to my eyebrows like I wanted. She went above my eyebrows. So in this sense, my hair was like really curly. It like even shrunk up like even more. Oh. So I didn't know what to do with my bangs, to have like straight blunt bangs. I'm like, this is not working out. I remember just crying to my mom about it. I'm like, I went to the salon, my bangs look really down, it's all frizzy. And I couldn't do anything with those dang blunt bangs until they grew out, like I would say about 6 months later. And I just went with like a side bang for the rest of the time.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, those were my bad hair moments.
Nah, that's okay, because I've had some bad hair moments too. Like I remember one time I had like this perm and what have you, and it was something my mom did, like, because she was always like perming our hair, me and my sister's hair. And like this one time she used like this texturizer that was supposed to make my hair curly and all that. So me being in middle school, you know, again, like I said, middle schoolers don't know how to take care of shit. So don't give them like a big task to take care of, you know. So it was like the first time when she did it, like it was the first day she got done. I wasn't going anywhere. So she was just like, oh yeah, you gotta brush it this way. So it'll look nice. I didn't listen. I literally brushed it another way because I'm like, nah, I'm gonna look cool. Like, you know. Sure enough, like my hair was looking like something like Milky Chance or Childish Gambino, you know, with the mixed up hair and everything. Crazy thing how that hair is now the thing to look like, you know?
Right.
And no one will shoot on you for that. But in the 90s, I swear the 90s would be shooting on people for stupid shit, you know? Especially in middle school. You know, people like literally shot on my hair and just like, oh my God, what are you doing, bro? Like, you know, I think they compared my hair to bird shit or something like that.
Oh my God. No.
Yeah, so I mean, I had a bit of PTSD after that day. So.
Oh, definitely. No, I still have like my little PTSD moments. Like, and it's so crazy. I took a lot of pictures in 7th grade, just like I guess early selfies or whatever with like a digital camera. But I cringe every time I see photos from that time. I really do. Because it was just like the hair was just not it. It was not it.
It wasn't it. We were in middle school. No one in middle school could say like they had the bombest hair unless your parents was really like hooking your ass up like that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, a lot of stuff just was not it. It looked so crazy and like it's just like even the comments too. I did all that shit. People were like, "Oh my God, man, your hair is so poofy." Like I hate when people call my hair poofy because of that shit.
Make you feel like some kind of dog, huh? Like
they always like use like phrases and terminology for like dogs or animals.
Yeah.
It's just like they always use fluffy or poofy or something like that. I'm like, no, but like granted, these are like white kids that probably never seen a black person before. So would be and never seen someone with that hair texture. So they would even probably instinctively, oh shoot, this is something I remember. This one kid in my dance class said my hair felt like wool.
Oh, that's so terrible.
It's awful, but you know, honest to God, she wasn't even trying to be insulting. She actually was complimenting my hair, but she said it just reminds me of wool.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
That's almost problematic. You know?
Oh, it's so problematic though. Like, I'll be honest. Yeah, but yeah, the whole like manipulating of the hair too. And I did ballet and stuff and jazz and modern dance growing up too. So we had to have our hair slicked back into like a bun or like, you know, a Dutch braid or just something like that. And my mom needed some time to straighten my hair and things that. Yeah. I remember I actually had to take off of a dance class because my mom had to straighten my hair because we had pictures the next day. And this is another bad hair story. Not necessarily with my hair, but just kind of like the dissonance between that and just society and stuff like that. So I go to my dance teacher and I'm just like, hey, I can't be in class today. I gotta do my hair. And she actually laughed. She's like, oh, okay, like whatever. And then like I go to the car, I tell my mom that like my dance teacher kind of like was being passive aggressive to me, you know, about, you know, taking off dance to do my hair. And then my mom walked up to my dance teacher and then I swear, so I'm in the car and like I'm in the front seat or whatever. And then I see they literally having like this like kind of pseudo argument up front because the dance teacher thinks it's the reason why I'm taking off her dance is because of superficial reasons, you know, to do my hair. But my mom's like, no, it actually takes a long time to do Megan's hair. Like it takes hours. And since pictures are tomorrow, on top of that, she has school, she has to take off dance class, you know, to do this. So it was just this was back and forth going on for, I kid you not, like 20 minutes. of like my dance teacher not understanding how long it takes, and my mom saying, no, it takes long. It's not like a thing. Like, it's not to boost her ego. It's not to boost her ego at all. It's just, you're wanting this hairstyle for this dance routine and these pictures. I have to straighten my baby's hair, and it takes a long time. So yeah, it was that type of thing too. So it's just so funny though, because it's just like, we live in a society where, you know, straighter hair textures and European hair textures are really preferred.
Yeah.
And it's considered the norm, where everything else is considered novelty. So everyone thinks that everyone treats their hair the same way. And it's not like that at all. Where it's like, our hair takes more time. Our hair, we can't wash our hair every day. Like, all this other stuff. Everyone's like, oh, weird. That's so weird. But it's just like, that's just how it is. Or like, I even mentioned this on my podcast, The Sauce Talks, when we were talking about hair and learning how to do other people's hair. And like, that's why we ask, you know, as Black folks, hey, does this person know how to do Black hair textures? Because it's completely, you know, it's different. And it's not like, oh, like, you're being racist because you don't let a white person do your hair. Like, I would if they know how to do our hair texture. Like, that's really cool. Because I had a white woman do my hair back in college, and I even asked before I got to the salon, I said, hey, do you know how to do Black hair? And she's like, oh yeah, I do. And then she used terminology and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, good, we're good to go. You know? Other people's salon, they had no idea. Like, I had to walk people through stuff. So, like, that's the thing. But yeah, I've told too many hair stories right now for that one. But yeah, no, I have a plethora of them. But you know, I love my hairstylist that I have right now. Shout out to Alicia from Shadowback Salon in Portland. Hey girl. But she's amazing. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. We are in a society where like straighter hair is the more preferred hair and what have you. I was feeling every moment of the story. So yeah. And I hope my audience was feeling it too. I hope like your story kind of did educate everyone else like about, you know, the difference between Black hair and straight hair, you know, or not even just Black hair, just coarse hair.
Yes, exactly.
Versus, you know, a little bit of a straighter hair. Because my hair itself, like, you know, for anybody that have seen me or know me, I mean, I got some really thick hair. Like, I don't have no thin, you know, easily to comb. No, my hair is thick and curly. Especially when I first grew out my hair, I knew it was going to be thick and curly. Like, that's just how my hair texture is, you know? So, yeah, when I get my locks done, I have to really like pull between the locks, making sure that it's really separated. And I'm about to educate some of you people that don't know how locks are done. Believe it or not, you have to get them redone. They don't naturally grow into dreadlocks. They don't grow into like, no. I'm pretty sure like if you guys seen somebody with locks before, you just assume that they grow into that style. No, they do not.
You know what's really funny though? Okay, that you mentioned that. I used to wear braids a lot as a kid, like throughout elementary school, and kids legit thought my hair grew out in braids. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world because I wear them so often. But yeah, but I'll let you finish your story. But that's so funny how people think that, like with Bob Marley and stuff, they think he naturally had.
Yeah.
Like his hair naturally went like that.
Yeah, no, like you have to get it redone. And you've seen my hair a few times where it had some growth going on. So yeah, eventually like the hair eventually grows, and when it grows, it doesn't look good. The locks they look still manageable if you keep them separated, but you have that extra growth going on that needs to be retwisted. So for me, because I got really thick hair and my hair just loves to stick together, I have to make sure that I'm separating my locks as much as possible. And it's a process. And shout out to Champagne. that does my hair. She always hooks it up. So yeah, you shout out your hairdresser, I shout out mine.
There you go.
So yeah, it was funny because like the last time when I got my locks actually it was recent when I got my locks done. She was just like, this man got 1 million locks in his head and he just does not want to do anything with them. They just stick together. They just like to be married together. Like, bruh, just help me out a bit. Just help me out. So yeah, for me, I have to make sure like my locks are just separated, good enough to where like once when she's getting ready to twist them up, it's really easy to twist up, because if they aren't separated, we're gonna be spending like hours in the chair, especially with my hair. I have sat in a chair for like about 3 hours for a retwist because I didn't know that I had to separate the locks. I'm still learning, by the way, because I spent most of my life with short hair. So yeah, everybody, there are pictures of me floating around with short hair. So somewhere in the interwebs, but yeah. But yeah, I used to have like really short hair, but there was times where I would grow my hair out. And majority of the time it would just be in an afro. I never really got like braids or anything like that. My mom wasn't like for them or anything like that because, people with braids, they had like a negative stigma pointed towards them as being thuggish and what have you. So yeah, she was like, nah, not for my son, But when I started growing out my hair, because I wanted to do something different with my hair, I always knew like my hair was just like naturally curly, naturally just like thick and what have you. So yeah, just thick hair. Thick hair is kind of harder to manage,
Yeah, and it's kind of like more so just like this too. It's like, yeah, sometimes it is like a harder, more difficult, but it's more time consuming, but it's just like, it's more product, it's all this other stuff. And it's a journey itself, because even hair textures change throughout time too, especially with Black folks too. I don't know what it is in our genetics, but it changes throughout time. So it's just like,
I mean, my hair changes colors, like it starts off dark, but somewhere along the tips of my hair, it's like brown and stuff. So yeah, I know what you mean. Like,
yeah. So like right now, like, like I said before, I'm just still trying to figure stuff out too. What works for me. I'm trying to figure out what my curl pattern is, because this was like, I used to have what's called like a 3C curl pattern, which is kind of like right in the middle, but it's like kind of going more to like the curlier, coily textures. But I think now I have like almost completely 4, which is coily, curly texture. It's not a 4C necessarily, unless if it gets frizzy, then it's like very 4C like, which is like the thick of the thick, type of hair texture. So I'm like trying to like find products, preferably Black owned. So if anyone knows, comment below. Walterdoom will send those over to me, because yes, that'll be lovely.
Yeah.
But I'm rocking a wig right now, but if y'all are watching this, my hair texture is very similar to my natural hair texture is very similar to this. So yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Megan, for coming on to the show. It's definitely a pleasure to have you on here every time you're available to come on. Love it when we all do the Black Avenger collabs and everything. So I can't wait till we get to that again sometime later on in the year.
Definitely.
All right, so yeah, you guys, so right now I'm about to take another break, and I'm about to come back with the outro for you guys of the Slasher Corner. So once again, like you shouldn't say in a scary movie, I'll be right back.
And we are back for the outro, everybody. And usually we have the slasher corner, but we are gonna cut the slasher corner today. I know we're kind of cutting a lot of things out, but time purposes, you know, again, I'm not trying to make this super long or anything. I mean, we all have lives. Considering everything is opening up again, I mean, right now the vaccines is really making its run, I guess. You know, unless you're Johnson & Johnson, and you're just fucking up everything. But anyway, we are in the outro, and usually this is the slasher corner, but I am gonna go ahead and just leave you guys with this little piece by me. We are going through like a turbulent time, you know, in our nation. I mean, if you're from the US or just even globally anyway, I mean, we have all been affected by this pandemic. And I'm not trying to make anything political or anything like that, but I'm just saying right now, we all just need to look out and take care of each other, you know? It's definitely a crazy time right now, depending on what side you're on, whether you're for the vaccines or not, or if you're believing COVID is real or not. What we all need to do is try to protect ourselves and protect the ones we love in this time of dire situations. And although things are kind of getting better, we definitely do appreciate that things are kind of getting somewhat normal, if normal is a thing. I don't believe there's anything normal happening right now, but if you believe that we are coming back into the new normality, I mean, hey, more power to you. But even through like this new normal that we are about to experience, definitely look out for yourselves, look out for the ones you love, and just keep on striving and keep on doing the things to make your life better, whatever that means, you know. Other than that, I am gonna sign out for the day. If you guys want to follow me on social media, follow me on Instagram, Walterdoom. Twitter is Walterdoom1. I don't know, I might be changing my Twitter one day. So if you guys have any ideas on what you think my Twitter name should be on Twitter, definitely shoot some suggestions. I don't know, all you 5 listeners, maybe come up with something together. I don't know. Just know that I love you all. I hope you guys have a good Easter, or did have a good Easter, because this is coming out a day after, honestly. I hope you guys have a good April. Yeah, someone loves you, baby. And you know who it is. It's your boy Walterdoom, signing out for another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. I will be back next week, everybody. I will try not to go MIA as much as possible. Walterdoom episode coming out pretty soon. This has been another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now. Stay diabolical, people. Oh yeah, and if you want to follow me on any streaming platform like Spotify, Apple Music, I mean, not Apple Music, but Apple Podcasts. I always fuck that up. But yeah, just look for me, Walterdoom, on those channels. You know, listen to the audio. Other than that, peace.